right, so trust you have found the training on emotional intelligence quite insightful thus far. I mean, so far you have learned about the different competencies of emotional intelligence, and you have learned different strategies for developing your emotional intelligence. Now, in the previous lessons, you learned about self-awareness, and then you learned about self-regulation, which is also self-management. And then the third one was social awareness. And the fourth one was relationship management. So if you want to look at it, what have you observed about those four competencies? Now, if you look at it critically, you observe that the first two, they talk about yourself. And the last two talk about others. So you have self-awareness and you have self-regulation. Those two talk about how you're working more on yourself, developing a consciousness of who you are, and then regulating that self. And then the other two talk about social awareness, relationship management, other people. Now, those two classifications, self and others, there are two other critical skills that was touched on in the previous lesson. So in the first part that talks about yourself, there's an element called motivation. So in developing yourself, you need to develop motivation. You need to develop that skill called motivation, staying motivated. And then in the other element that talks about others, you need to develop what is called empathy. So I want to take time to explain these two concepts separately in helping you to understand and develop your emotional intelligence. So let's start first with empathy. We'll start with empathy. Let's talk about other people first of all, and then we'll now move to motivation, because motivation is very essential. It is the fuel for work. But let's start with empathy. Empathy. What is empathy? Remember in the previous lesson, you already learned how it is important for you to develop social skills, social awareness, being conscious of other people, learning people's names, and all of those things. Very valuable in emotional intelligence. But empathy is also very crucial. The more empathetic you are, the better you're able to connect with other people. So we want to develop, we want to understand here in the training, how do you develop empathetic skills? But first of all, what is empathy? Now, there's a misconception that empathy is about trying to please everybody. That's not true. Empathy does not mean trying to please everybody. It is not trying to ensure that everybody's happy, everybody's excited, and all of that. No. What is empathy? Empathy simply means thoughtfully considering the feelings of your employees or the feelings of anybody you're relating with, along with other factors in the process of making intelligent decisions. So you want to make a decision right now, you as a leader of a team, as a leader of a company, as a leader of a family, you don't just go ahead and make a decision. You have to consider, how does this decision, how do the decisions I want to make, how does it affect other members of the team? That is what it means to empathize. That is what empathy simply means. Empathy is the capacity to understand or feel what another person is experiencing from within their frame of reference. That is the capacity to place oneself in another's position. So simply put, empathy is simply about putting yourself in the shoes of other people. And this is a very major skill that many leaders lack. Because the more empathetic you are, the more creative you will become. If you are very empathetic, you are going to see the concerns and the needs. That is why empathy is tied to innovation. Think about all the different things that have been created and founded in this world, the cars, the ACs, the airplanes, and all of that. All of those people that found all those things, that created all those things, it was from a heart of empathy. They looked at, why would people be flying from this place and they're suffering? They're traveling long distances, to get to a location. Okay, how can we develop something that can crunch time? That is empathy, compassion. So empathy is very critical because you work with different people and people have perspectives. And that's why empathy is all very needed in any team. If you're a team lead, you're leading a company, you're leading a business, you're leading a family, all this empathy, as long as you have people on your team, you need to be empathetic. People have perspectives and opinions, especially in the information age that we are in, the digital revolution. There are many things on social media. People read up and they have sound knowledge. And so if you are just all by yourself and you think, I'm the custodian of knowledge, I know it all, you won't be going very far. So you need to understand that empathy is very necessary. Whenever you are having people that you're having to work with, you need to be empathetic. And so how do you develop empathy as a person? And you're a leader, I've been able to convince you thus far that empathy is very important. And but okay, so how do I ensure that I am empathetic in my dealings, in my activities with people? How do I develop empathetic skills? The first thing is that you have to be flexible. Flexibility is one of the key things you want to look at in trying to be empathetic. So what is flexibility? How does flexibility connect to empathy? One of the things in trying to be flexible is that you have to challenge your biases. Many people have opinions and mindsets that they have held on to from childhood. Things that they have said, oh, this is how I do it and this is how I'm going to get it done. And so by the time they come into a team, they want to say, this is how I'm going to remain. I'm going to remain like this is how I'm going to keep doing it. And they are not open to listening to the opinions of others. They're not open to listening to the opinion of other people, the perspective and the viewpoint of other people. You need to be flexible. Don't have a rigid mindset and say, look, this is how it's done. We are not changing it. If you're like that, you won't be empathetic. You won't listen to the opinions of other people. You have to be open to doing different things and doing things differently. Okay, that's what it means to be flexible. So because empathy is that part of emotional intelligence that makes you able to connect with other people. And you can't connect with other people if you're not flexible. You can't connect with other people if you're not open to doing things in a different way. So if somebody comes to you for a suggestion, and comes to you and suggests an idea, suggests a different method from how you are used to doing it. Perhaps you've been doing this particular thing this particular way for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, and somebody suggests, can you try? Don't be proud and say, no, this is how I've done it. No, that means you're not empathetic. And maybe this person has done some research, is exposed. You have to listen to people. That is what it means to be empathetic. And so flexibility is connected to what? To empathy. That's a major way to develop your empathy. Number 2 is what? Curiosity. Curiosity. You have to stay curious. Curiosity will help you to be more empathetic. What does it mean to be curious? Curiosity means you are open to learning from other people. You are open to learning from your subordinates. The fact that somebody is beneath you doesn't mean you know better than them. The fact that somebody is lower to you in rank or you are above them in position doesn't mean you know everything and you are wiser and smarter than them. You have to be curious. Even gate men, people, your helpers, the cleaners at work, people, your drivers, all those people, they have information. There have been cases where, the next promotion, the biggest promotion that somebody got was a suggestion from his driver. But if he was all proud and wasn't empathetic and he wasn't listening, so empathy is not just, you're trying to please, let me just please. No, it's a strategic move. And so if you're not curious, if you haven't placed yourself in a place where you are open to learning, open to, listen to other people, listen to opinions, listen to perspectives, and that's what it means to be curious. So ask for feedback. That's another way to be curious. Ask questions. Ask for feedback. After I train you, you're done with something. Ask, how did I do that? Ask people. It doesn't have to be your superior that you ask for feedback. Even your employees, even people that work, under you, there are ways you ask for feedback. Keep yourself being curious, and that will help you to develop your empathy towards making you to become emotionally intelligent. And then the last way to develop empathy is to be humble. Humility. Humility has a way of making you to be empathetic. The more humble you are, the more empathetic you will be. And how humility is not just a bodily reaction and you're all humble, and no. Humility is an action. There are things we have to see that will say that this person is humble. There are things you will say, things you will do that will show and justify the fact that you're humble. And how do you develop humility? Now, humility can be developed by exposing yourself to events and situations and activities that are outside your comfort zone. Many people are comfortable in where they are, and they've been doing a particular thing for several years, and so they are very good at it. And so if an opportunity comes, if something else comes, and they just believe they are Lord of all, they know it all, and so they are not humble. And that state of mind, which is a proud state, will not allow you to be empathetic, because you are at a place where you believe, I'm the most competent person here. Why should I listen to you? Why should I? So you need to remain humble, and the way you remain humble is by exposing yourself to things that are outside of your comfort zone. Learn new skills. Things that you haven't learned before. When you look at people, when you look at other people that are doing things that you can't do, your heart will calm down and say, look, I need to remain humble. And when you are in that place of mind, you will be empathetic. Also, when you travel out to other places, learn from even if you can't travel and all that, read up on cultures, how things are done in different places. Because, for example, if you're in Nigeria and you travel to a country like, say, Poland, there are different ways. The way you do things in Nigeria is definitely different from the way you do things in Poland. And so when you go to Poland, you can't be like a Nigerian. You have to be like the Polish and learn their ways And when you do that, you remain humble. And when you remain humble, you're able to listen to other people. You're able to listen to what they are saying. You're able to listen to what their own opinion about the matter. So remain humble. Learn a skill. Try a new sport. Try learning a new sport, maybe swimming. And so with that difficulty in learning that new thing comes humility. And with humility comes being empathetic. So these three things are very vital in developing your empathetic skills. First one is flexibility. Second one is curiosity. And then the third one is what is humility. These three things are very important in what developing your empathetic skills towards making you to develop your social skills and connect with people, and then ultimately leading up to developing your emotional intelligence. In the next lesson, I will look at the second element, which speaks to yourself, which is about motivation. Listen to the next lesson.